I have only been with my wife sexually. 25 meters.
I'm not good at this, so here goes. I started dating my wife when I was 18. She was my first for everything except kissing and making out. I was very shy when I was younger and didn't really have any courage to date before her because of my anxiety. She's the only person I've been with my whole life as far as sex goes. Now that I'm older, I've had plenty of opportunities to cheat and flirt with other girls, but I never have. I'm almost 26 and often I'm stuck wondering what I missed out on. I love my wife very much and she will do anything I ask. I just can't shake the thoughts of, what if anyone else have an experience like this? Edit. Thank you guys for all the advice. I never thought about the other side of things or what that may be like. I had a buddy that used to hook up every weekend with someone. He never seemed happy with life and I think this thread explains a lot. Thank you guys. You're not missing out on much. I haven't had many ons. But all the ones I had were pretty boring. Sure, sex is fun with a new person. But no emotional connects ruins the whole thing for me. Personally, you found the love of your life. It's normal to think about, what if? What this guy said, op. I had a handful of one-night stands. The sex is mediocre at best, seriously. It's not even about a lack of emotional connection, it's literally just mediocre because neither of you know what feels good with the new partner. If you want the rush of fucking someone new, maybe try roleplay? Also, I think the draw of fucking someone new is the rush of being desired because that's how new relationships are, lustful, and thus exciting. If you can figure out what turns her on and tease her throughout the day so that she wants to fuck you later, that would pretty much mimic all the story beats of a new, FWB, relationship in the year 2020. I agree. My longtime GF tried opening up the relationships a bit and we had some ons. They were sorta fun in the moment but didn't compare with our experiences together. The movement was mechanical, each partner didn't really know the likes of the other, and it wound up being a lot less hot than I had imagined it to be. Not terrible, but not great. After a few months we stopped our experiment. It did scratch the itch, but it's lost all fantasizing value to me. The sex is okay at best and there's just little to no emotional connection. It also gave us new appreciation for what we have. I am glad we did it because it was challenging for me. She's hot and is quite a ons catch. I don't think I am, and helped me separate sex from the relationship. And frankly made sex outside the relationship less enticing. My husband and I have been together for 23 years. Sex for us has evolved over that time and is still getting better and better. There is no need to go looking for something outside your marriage for something different. Nothing compares to great sex with someone you have shared your life with, who you've survived all the ups and downs with. I have had my share of what ifs and I'm sure he has too. Every time you chose your marriage over some what if, your relationship will be stronger. Choose to water the grass on your own side of the fence and you'll be rewarded with an intimacy like nothing else. Respect and cherish each other. Keep the lines of communication open and good things will come. Other than the number of years together, this comment sounds exactly like my wife and I. Have there been ups and downs? Yes. Have I ever wondered what if or what about some other her? Yes. But you know, over time you grow in ways you can't even imagine. 20 years in and my wife and I are still like two teenagers, though not quite as much stamina. A moment ago, just before I came across this thread, we stole into the bedroom while the kids were playing in the hallway for a quick makeout and a promise of sex later. Keep watering that grass. Even if you had more partners and experiences in your past, you would still wonder, what if, during your marriage? Throughout your life you will have opportunities and temptations. You've committed yourself to one person. If it's going well, you're not missing out on anything. Cheating on your spouse sucks. Getting divorced sucks even more. And no one wants to be single during a pandemic. The grass is not greener on the other side, believe me. I was the same and it began to worry me. But when I started looking around and thinking, what if I met someone new? There was no one around that made me laugh as much as him or treated me the same. No one that I knew I could fully relax with sexually. I think it's natural to feel this way, why it's so important to make time for each other and try new things together to keep it fresh. Smiley face. M54, been married for 31 years to the same wonderful women. She's been my only sex partner and our sex today is the best ever. When people get comfortable with each other and continue to evolve and try new things, it will never get vanilla. You have to work at it like everything else. I can't imagine starting over. I was with 20 plus women before my wife and I can 100% assure you it's a lot better now than having different partners. You're never worrying about being as safe, the sex only gets better and better, and you don't feel the pressure of having to perform. Sex with your wife continues to get better. From my experience anyways. Thoughts like that do go through my head occasionally. What if I wasn't married, didn't have children, wasn't tied with familial responsibilities? Could I then have sex with smart and physically active women who also have interests similar to mine? Or maybe I could find myself a cute fuckboy with a big juicy cock, that would be a lot of fun. But then I remember how damn much effort relationships take to develop, and then I'm immediately content with maintaining a decent stable relationship with my wife which I already have. Hookups and stuff aren't my cup of tea, I guess. My husband and I have been together 26 years and we were each other's firsts for everything. About a year and a half ago we started swinging and having sex with others because we were curious to see what we might have missed. What I can tell you based on my experience is that I have never had better sex than the sex with my husband. Sex with new people is fun and exciting because it is new, but for me it hasn't been better. He knows me inside and out. He's my best lay ever, but it is still exciting and fun to experience new people. You probably need to identify whether you have a fear of missing out or whether you want new experiences. Those are two very different things and might have different answers. I think a bit of curiosity about what if is normal for someone in your situation. But what do you think might be out there that you are missing? If you are truly in love, then you aren't missing anything on that front. You can fall in love with someone else, but why? If the relationship is fulfilling, then be thankful for that. A lot of people aren't in fulfilling relationships and they slowly die inside and become cold and overcome with resentment for their spouse and themselves. Ask me how I know this. The other aspect about what else is out there is the sex. Different people do have different kinks, desires and abilities, but there's no magical pussy out there that you are missing out on. The absolute best sex I've ever had was with someone I was completely over the top in love with. My soulmate, if you will. The emotional connection made the sex amazing. I've had one-night stands with club girls. I've had a long-term relationship with a bikini model. I've had threesomes with my girlfriend and her girlfriend, and none of that stuff compares to the intimacy and passion of being with someone you truly love and can be totally vulnerable with. If you are in love with your wife and you can feel the love from her, consider yourself lucky. And if your sex life is good, then consider yourself extra lucky. You could always bring some extra spice into the bedroom by watching porn and trying out stuff you see, getting some toys to play around with, or getting a sex game that lets you two explore positions, kinks and fantasies. I think most of people here agree that you aren't missing much. Having said that, a random sexual encounter with another person has mostly to do with the dopamine thrill, short-term gratification, ego boost and stories to impress your friends. It took me a while to realize that quantity of encounters do not really add up to quality. Some wise people figure this out very quickly, other idiots like me need to go through a round of pointless sexual encounters to figure out, and lastly some people never figure it out and keep seeking the sexual thrill indefinitely. It's normal thinking over if you are missing out. If your relationship is gratifying and loving, acknowledge the fact you will have these thoughts and that's okay, but do not really dwell on it. I'm 25F, and recently married my best friend, 27M. He was my first everything. First kiss, first I love you, etc. I had hoped for that type of relationship and been very selective with who I dated, as well as focused on my own interests and career so I would be ready when the right person came along. Sure, I occasionally wonder what life would have looked like if I'd ended up with someone else, living somewhere else, with a different job, etc., but I don't for a second regret the way things worked out, and I would not entertain the idea of wasting it. It's a special gift not to have a history with other people tainting your memories. In my opinion, your language of opportunities to cheat is concerning. Focus on what you have, not what you don't. Because I guarantee the grass isn't greener. People are really supportive here, but I am gonna give another perspective. I had my first GF quite late, mid-20s, and although things were easy and super nice with her, that question was bothering me a lot. Sad face, I wish it hadn't. Anyway, I broke up for other reasons, and went and decided to try. I will not lie, I am glad I having the chance to try different people. It has been very fun so far and I feel much more at peace with myself. This is a good answer too, because it goes to show that, hey, maybe I was right and knew what was good for me. But also you didn't go into detail as well, which lets me to add on that it could have been good for any number of reasons. Maybe someone else in the same position could understand, and maybe if you were to actually break up you might regret it, but that also leads to the choice of realizing that maybe you should just move on instead rather than go back. Or you pick up different experiences, good or bad, that you can and get meaning from and will help you develop as a person and understand that it's a very complex thing that you need to figure out for yourself. As the wife of someone that took that what if and acted upon it, I can tell you that if you haven't yet, don't. It will rip her to pieces on the inside, and even if y'all move on from it, it will haunt her every thought. He will tell you himself that it was not worth it and he regrets it with everything he is. Doesn't change the fact that it happened. Please keep it as a what if, and know that it might not change anything in you to act on it. You will either want it again with someone else and risk an STI, or you will realize that it's just better with someone you love, but it will haunt her forever regardless. You missed out on nothing. Emo. Told many people the same thing before. Since I'm in a serious relationship, I realized that I could have perfectly done without any of my one-night stands. There is just so much more value that a serious love holds compared to meaningless flirting and sex. I also realized that the people who made me believe one-night stands are so cool are always single people who desperately need to prove that despite being single, they're still wanted and desirable. I get that it's difficult if you can't compare what you never experienced, but most people wish they'd find love. Being single most of my life until 2 years ago. I sometimes miss being able to flirt with someone until things go wild. First of all, my so is totally worth it. Plus our living arrangements aren't very good right now and we can't get wild very often, so once that is sorted out I'm sure I won't miss flirting. I can flirt with him and tease him all I want and it's always super fun. Second of all, sure, missing my single life is normal, but I swear I stop missing it as soon as I hear other women at work struggling because a guy lied to them. I definitely don't miss having to deal with a guy who thinks he is being so slick I will never find out he is lying. I think the key here, like you will often hear, is communication, but I will expand a bit. You are already married, so this advice might be a bit too late, but you need to make sure sex has a similar definition between you two. Do you find sex to be something to bring you two together? Is sex meant for a stress relief, etc.? As long as you both go in with the similar objectives and similar desires for sex and educating and exploring, you will be wonderful. It tends to be a problem where, say, one partner has no experience and wants to explore with their spouse, but the other has already done all the exploring they want to do. Also, I think we are all stuck in a rut with COVID. Previously we could go out and get excitement in a new area, dinner, dating, or use the flirtatious energy with others in our own relationship. Everyone seems so bored and burned out now. If this is a recent feeling over the past few months, I would advise looking internally. What ifs are normal. Find a way to stop thinking them or satisfy them. Role playing, meet in a hotel bar, flirt, have a backstory and pretend to be different people, blindfolds, use toys, dildo or fleshlight, instead, makeup, wigs, etc., might let you experience the ons feeling, for both of you. Ways to satisfy the, what if I slept with someone else, without bringing someone else into your relationship. You could also discuss threesomes, open relationships, etc., but that's different. I'm 26 and I've only been with 2 people. My husband and I have been together over 8 years. Sex just keeps getting better and better. I know he's clean. He's learned how to make me happy in the bedroom. He is willing to try new things. We love each other's bodies even after changes. I've had 3 kids. He loves my body now more than ever. He's gained weight due to health issues and such. I love his body. I can't get enough of him. You'll never find sex worth a good relationship. I promise. My first relationship was toxic. The sex was awful. If you have someone that respects you and loves you, then look no further. I-31M had a similar experience. I was a late bloomer and lost my V at 20 years old. I married that woman when we were 25. She had been with a bunch of other people, which rattled me a bit, I will admit, but I thought I'd get over it. TBH, I never really did, and I fantasized about the what if, but I never did. We ended up getting a divorce a few years ago. What a life lesson that was. It wasn't for the sex reason, we were fighting so much about everything. Money, politics, lifestyle choices, etc. I wouldn't be the man I am today if it wasn't for her, and I'm eternally grateful for her and the time we shared together. I will always love her. I haven't come close to feeling the same way about someone as I did her, yet. And I'm sure she's out there. But I will say it's not all about sex. If you enjoy your sex life with your wife, then you should cherish that. If you don't, then you should look into ways of fixing it. Communication is key. I've had my share of encounters since my divorce and somehow managed to contract chlamydia, and just recently I got HPV. However, that's because I'm not very smart, and alcohol will make you do very stupid things. Going forward, I am very careful about who I decide to be intimate with, because you know what? It's a really special thing, and I didn't realize that until recently. I don't know if I helped at all, but writing this out was actually kinda therapeutic for me. I wish you nothing but the best. Happiness is key. For what it's worth, an acquaintance of mine was openly dating while married. She and her wife had a deal. When I asked her why seeking something out of her relationship, she said that it reminded her of how lucky she was to have found her person. This stuck with me. It's hard to find a genuine connection. Stay together. You could have sex with plenty of people but will likely lack the emotional connection. The grass always seems greener on the other side. I see a lot of people saying you're not missing out on much. It may be true for them, but because you don't have the experience, it isn't going to be true for you, no matter how much you are reassured. If you have a solid relationship, you could always try a more open dynamic. It's not for everyone, but it is worth talking about with your partner. Yes, you have a mental condition known as FOMO. Most every human on the planet has had these fears of missing out, FOMO, fear of missing out. No matter what you do, you will probably experience some FOMO, whether it's over your marriage, number of sex partners, whether or not to have children, your career, etc. Becoming an emotionally mature person involved learning to live with your FOMO and deciding on limited evidence if you need to make a change because you are missing out, or deal with what you have because the change is unrealistic or cause you to regret leaving. There are no easy solutions or guarantees. For your situation, see if you can journal about this and find reason to stay. No guarantee next woman or next 10 or next 100 will cure your wanderlust. Next, you can ask wife to wear costumes and or role-playing being other people. You can bring in new sex toys for both. You can try various kinks, spanking, BDSM. You can also focus on improving your mind, your body, finances or career. If you make a change in yourself, your relationship with spouse will change and feel different. If those don't work, you can try soft swinging, full swinging, or have an open relationship. No matter how many women I have had sex with, I always want one more. Sometimes I wished I had married early and stuck with one. Honestly, you might just be bored with how you do it. Why don't you try role-playing or even adding some spice to the bedroom? Masks or even pretending she is someone else might help you without cheating. For example, you can pretend that she's your secretary, or you can go to a bar and pretend to meet each other. She could be sipping drinks and you have to try and woo her like you would when you first started dating. Just communicate with her how you feel. Don't let it get to cheating. Some people will never have a rewarding sexual experience in their lives, and the idea that more is better is never more wrong than when applied to sex in all its varied forms. The search for an experience that really opens you up to feel the freedom of guiltlessly giving and receiving pleasure with another person might take you through many partners or just one, but more than anything, it's a journey that happens inside your own mind and comes from understanding yourself and your desires and those of your partner. If your journey is going to involve others than your wife, then so be it, but it's not how it has to happen. Realistically, most men don't want to admit that they've had few partners because it doesn't play into the often accepted narrative of being successful. But if you were to ever hear two men talking about their sexual experiences and one said he'd banged 100 women and the other said that he had the most incredible sexual experiences with his wife, the only woman he'd ever been with, who would you envy more? If you have sex with same person and it's consistently great and it meets your needs, well, you don't need to fix what isn't broken. You're filling your life with awesome sexual experiences, which is what you would be looking for if you dated other people or had a bunch of one-night stands. Focus on what makes you happy, not what a certain segment of society or the media tells you that you should want. If you're the kind of guy who needs to sleep around a bunch to be satisfied, okay, fine. But if you are happy where you are, why not just enjoy it? I was in a similar boat as you, dated from 16 to 22 high school sweethearts and each other's firsts. We had a great relationship for the most part, and now with a little perspective I can say we had great sex. But we differed on some major lifestyle views, work, what part of the country to live in, family, politics. The relationship didn't work out for those reasons, but the what if thoughts were definitely what pushed me to end our relationship. We had recently moved apart for work and school, and I was ready to start my journey in a new city. Now, a couple of years post-relationship, I can say the grass is not always greener, just different. The hookups definitely added excitement into my life that wasn't there during a long-term, stable relationship, but the lack of deep connection with that person made the sex difficult to truly enjoy. I also found that being in such a long relationship shaped me into always wanting some sort of partner in my life. It took a while for me to learn how to be single. When you're single, there are a lot more days where you're lonely by yourself with no one calling to ask about your day than there are wild one-night stand stories. Now, don't get me wrong, I am happy that I was able to get out of a relationship with a person that wasn't the best lifestyle fit, but it sounds like you've found someone that you truly love and fits your lifestyle. Don't go throwing that away just to chase your what if sexual fantasies. Your what if I could sleep with someone else will just turn into what if I would have stayed in that relationship. Maybe try some options that get you that instant rush you're probably craving but don't interfere with your relationship. My current partner is cool with me going to the strip club with the boys on the conditions 1. No lap dances, 2. No private shows. Not sure if this will fit in your relationship, but worth discussing. Usually applies during bachelor trips, guys' weekend. Obviously, you know your relationship better than any of us. I'm just trying to give you some perspective. It is normal to have those thoughts, but you need to truly think about what your life would look like if you were to follow through with them. Would your friend group be divided? What would your day-to-day life look like on the majority of days you aren't fulfilling your sexual fantasies? Would that bring you the happiness your wife currently provides you? You don't know what you've got till it's gone. Wish you the best, homie. Maybe in the future she will want something more open and experimental. That's the new thing to do as a couple, and it's totally okay for some. But unless you are unsatisfied with your relationship, be careful thinking what if all by yourself. I married my high school sweetheart too, and there were times when I let my fantasizing go too far and it almost ended us. It made me realize no amount of awkwardly groping a new person is worth losing my soulmate. Not saying you are the same as me, but it's something I should have realized before almost giving my life up. Thankfully, my husband is incredibly caring and understanding, and we both wanted to make it work, so we have. I don't think what if anymore, and I know if we ever need spicing up with sex, there are things we can explore together, not apart. I understand what you mean and have met a few people on your shoes, but to be quite frank, it's not much you're missing out on, especially if you're happy and satisfied in your relationship. People think that if they were single they'd be out fucking everyone, but the simple fact is for most people it's not that easy, and you'd likely find yourself either not getting any or realizing you were happiest with your wife. I have an open marriage, but I've only fucked a couple people outside our relationship, and if it weren't for amazing friends I would have such minimal luck finding someone external to fuck, because the fact is a lot of us, especially in happy relationships, just don't know how to look and don't really care to actively look. Of course, this is my personal experience. Booty hope it helps, even a little, in seeking peace of mind whichever way you are looking for it. Maybe communicate this to her. She could be feeling the same way but doesn't want to say so in fear of hurting your feelings. I would approach it gently though and make sure it doesn't sound like you're not enough. It's like, if you've only had vanilla ice cream your whole life, you naturally want to try other flavors. It doesn't mean that vanilla isn't enough or that vanilla won't still be your favorite, the flavor you always want to come back to on a Friday night. It just means you want to experience more. Experiences make a well-rounded person. I don't see anything wrong with being curious about this. You could even approach it together.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video. And if you are new, subscribe and click on the bell icon.